Welcome to Global Vegetarian, the spice-inspired kitchen. Today we're doing a piece on shopping at an Indian supermarket. We're here in Surrey at Sabzi Mandi. They have a number of locations across the Lower Mainland, and we thought this would be a wonderful way to start off on our cooking course by shopping together for all of the non-perishable ingredients that we need for the cooking course, as well as familiarize you with shopping in Indian supermarket. So we're going to go in and have a chat with the owner, manager of the store, and then we will do our shopping for all the wonderful ingredients that we need for the next few weeks of our cooking course. Okay, so before we start shopping from our shopping list and giving you a tour of this store with so many wonderful, colorful ingredients that they have, the shelves and shelves full of lentils and spices and different kinds of flours and rice and you name it. But before we get to doing that, let's have a chat with the store owner. And his name is Aman Narula, and it would be great for us to just find out a little bit more about this particular supermarket. Hi, Aman.
Hi, Prakash.
How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Excellent, excellent. Want to say thank you for allowing us to come and do this segment in your store.
Yes, no problem.
We're very excited about taking a tour and showing our students all the wonderful ingredients that typical and non-typical, Indian and non-Indian, that they can buy here.
Most definitely.
But before we do that, I would love to learn a little bit about your business, your store, the history, etc.
Sure, yeah. So I joined my father really young, when I was almost 15, and he's one of the original pioneers of the Indian grocery sector, you can say, of Vancouver. So he came to Vancouver in 1991, and at that time, there's only 2 or 3 Indian stores, period.
Yeah, I actually remember.
Yeah, in the whole region, right?
Yeah.
So he's one of the very first people. So a lot of people know him from that time. At that time, the store used to be called Singh Foods. For anybody that
I actually remember Singh Foods.
yeah,
I used to shop there once in a
for
while
anybody
with
that
my parents.
yeah. So if you're in Vancouver around that time, you know
Yeah.
that shop. And he joined the Sabzi Mandi family in 2007
Okay.
when we bought this shop. And slowly, I mean, things worked out, and the original owner moved on, so we actually bought the whole franchise from him, the name as well as the store and the rest of the stores.
And how many stores are there in the Sabzi Mandi family?
Yeah, now we're at 5, and 6th one opening soon.
Wow.
Yeah.
And where are they located?
There's 4 in Surrey, 1 in Abbotsford,
Okay.
and then another one opening in the Lower Mainland as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And just so anyone in the local area, this store is on 72nd.
That's correct. This is our head office location as well.
Okay.
We're obviously the busiest, or one of the busiest Indian stores in the Lower Mainland. We pride ourselves on being one of the cleanest and with the most variety and selection as well. So
Yeah, I see that.
yeah, because my dad's been doing it for a while. His motto is, our store should be as clean as where he wants to shop, where and when he goes out to shop.
Right. That's a
the
good
same
philosophy.
So that's the same we want to maintain our store.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So tell us a little bit about who your customers are. Are they Indian, the majority, or non-Indian, or has there been any change over the last few years?
Yeah, our customers, being where we are, this is Surrey, of course, so we have a lot of ethnic customers. But by ethnic, people might think it's an Indian store, so we just have Indian clientele. That's not true. Of course, 50% of our clientele or so is Indian, but then we have a lot of Pakistani clientele because there's a masjid right around the corner here.
Pakistani, okay.
Yeah, so we have a lot of our customers are Pakistani.
Right,
Then we have a lot of people from Somalia and Africa
right,
in the region, in this area as well.
right.
And then apart from that, of course, we have all the rest of ethnicities. We're right across the street from Kuala University. So we get a lot of people from all
All walks of life.
All walks of life in the store, professors, students, you name it.
All colors, races.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wonderful.
the way the store's laid out, I mean, at least we hope that it's easy to get around. I mean, we have aisle markers and stuff like that that explain what's in each aisle.
No, it's
And,
very well laid out, just like any grocery store.
Yes,
You know,
that's what we hope
yeah,
for.
yeah, good.
Yeah.
Um, what can people buy here?
We carry, of course, all the Indian products you can think of and more. We're one of the first stores, like I said, my dad's been doing it for a while. The most selection out of any store in Vancouver, I can guarantee you'll find here in terms of Indian products. Besides that, of course, all the Canadian groceries. I mean, you name it, we have it. Cereal, all the condiments, whatnot, right?
Right.
But those are additional. Our main focus is obviously the Indian part of the.
Right, right. And what about, I see a whole big section on produce here. So tell us a little bit about where you get your produce.
Yeah, produce is also a big part of our business, as is any supermarket, I guess. Produce, a lot of it, it's from all over. When it's summertime, then we get a lot of local produce.
Right.
We get from BC, all over BC, right, Okanagan, and all the peaches and cherries and apples and everything, right? So in the summertime, BC kicks in, and we get majority of our produce is from BC. During wintertime, obviously, BC doesn't produce much during the winter, except tomatoes in greenhouses and peppers.
Right.
Besides that, everything comes from California for the most part,
Right.
which is our biggest trading partner, and it's near us. So
Right.
Washington and California provide most of the produce to us. Apart from that, we get Indian produce, flown into us.
From India?
From India, flown into us every week. It comes in on Thursday or Friday, depending on which supplier it is.
So what are some of the things, fresh produce that is, that you would be importing from India?
You were mentioning turmeric earlier.
Fresh
So-
turmeric?
So we get fresh turmeric from India.
I'd love to go and have a look at fresh
Yeah,
turmeric.
so fresh turmeric holds the same properties as ginger for the people that don't know what it looks like or what sort of form it takes.
Right.
We get green mangoes that people make chutney out of. Right? We get a bunch of South Indian vegetables, so guar and tindora,
Right.
and drumsticks, and so there's a whole bunch of produce that we get from India flown in on a weekly basis.
So it's not only just the fresh ingredients or produce that we're familiar with that you can buy here, but you can buy some unique items that you wouldn't necessarily find in your grocery store chain.
Most definitely, yeah.
Right.
We carry everything that you can think of in a Canadian store or farm market, you can say. So anything you can imagine, of course, we have all of that and more.
And
so
more.
The and more is the Indian part.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about spices. Where do you get your spices from?
Spices, majority of our spices are from India. Apart from that, Canada is actually a big player in spices as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
in
there's-
terms of producing them?
Producing like cinnamon, and there's a bunch of products actually that Canada, even wheat, a lot of our wheat products come
Comes
from
from
Canada.
Saskatchewan?
Saskatchewan, a
Right.
lot of our lentils that we're standing behind.
Well, that's something I was going to ask you. There is people may not be familiar with the fact that there is a huge growth market in the prairies of Canada, in Saskatchewan, where lentils and quinoa and so many of these things that you wouldn't think that this wonderful full country in the north grows, but
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. One of the main Indian lentils is chana dal, which is chickpea lentil.
chickpeas, which is split, right?
Which is split.
Right.
And the whole, I mean, they use it for flour, which
Right.
you probably.
And in fact, one of the segments of our cooking course, we are going to make pakoras.
So there we go.
And we're going to be using chickpea flour.
Yeah.
In other words, it's also called besan.
Besan
Right.
in Indian, and it's one of the main ingredients for Indian cooking. Is
So we
chana.
grow chickpeas in Canada.
We grow chickpeas in
Wow.
Canada. Yeah. Saskatchewan's one of the biggest players of chickpea.
Yeah.
And
And
so,
what about lentils as well?
Yeah.
Brown lentils.
Yeah, there's a whole facet of lentils that actually they produce
That are grown
in
here.
Saskatchewan. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's why actually there's a bunch of flour mills across Canada,
Right.
and all the wheat comes from Saskatchewan, of course.
Right.
Byproducts come from Saskatchewan, like all-purpose flour
Yeah.
and semolina,
Right.
which is also used in Indian cooking a lot.
Yeah.
Suji, right?
It's
Yeah.
wonderful to buy homegrown produce
Oh,
that
100%. 100%, yeah.
Right.
No, we try to support Canadian growers and distributors in general.
Right.
But of course, we're a supermarket and we have to have everything in there that customer requests or needs.
Right.
So what's available here locally, we pick it up locally, and what's not available here, we pick it up anywhere in the world.
And I mean, I feel very comfortable with the quality that you would receive from Canadian products because we are,
Of course.
we tend to cater to quality goods.
Of course.
However, you know, you hear a lot of stuff about how quality is compromised with some Indian suppliers. So could you tell us a little bit about how you maintain quality for the stuff that you import?
Yeah, the suppliers that in India, I mean, it's just like China. So there's good and bad, right? So you have to filter out the bad from the good. That happens when you visit India or China or what have you, and you actually physically visit the factories. The factory we deal with is actually FDA approved and CFIA approved.
Okay,
They have their own laboratory, so they do their own tests in there.
okay.
One of the cleanest factories I've ever seen in my life. They made
That's
us,
good to know.
yeah, they made us wear, made pretty much take our shoes off and wear those.
Oh, the
shoe
liners?
the shoe
yeah,
mitts,
the
yeah.
shoe mitts, yeah.
And then my wife had her hair down, so they made her wear a hairnet. And
Okay.
you know, he said wait 5 minutes, and their employees were on lunch, and the employees came down. He said just wait and watch. So employees came down and they sanitized their hands, washed their hands, sanitized their hands, put the mitts on, put the nets on, and they went to work. So
Okay.
one of the cleanest places. They actually deal with a lot of big companies, Canadian companies, or North American, like Walmart or what have you. They're one of the
Okay.
main suppliers to them.
Okay.
So they have to maintain a certain standard,
So
right?
I gather quality is one of the important aspects of your business.
Oh, most definitely.
Right.
Yeah, I gather you've already got that from going around the store,
Right.
or well, when we go around the store, that's probably the most important thing to us.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Quality is very, very important. What about bulk versus packaged? Tell us a little bit about the process as well as pricing differences, etc.
Yeah, of course, there's a bit of a quality difference because when you're going bulk, it tends to be slightly cheaper than going packaged because, of course, of the labor involved in the packaging
Right.
and the packaging material, what have you. But there's no right or wrong. So,
As far as quality, it's the same?
as far as quality, I mean, it may be a notch lower than what's packaged.
Okay.
For example, these lentils behind you are packaged by us. So they may be a notch lower than our bulk, but our bulk is equally good. I mean, maybe a slight color difference or what have you, but no cooking difference,
Okay.
no taste difference or quality difference in that means, right?
Right.
Maybe just aesthetics.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, one of the things that there is a lot of in an Indian store is the variety of flour.
Right.
Variety of flour and variety of rice.
Of
I
course.
mean, you can go to your supermarket chain to buy the standard flour and maybe one or two varieties of basmati rice, but here
Right.
I see that there's tens of different types of varieties of rice. And what about flour? There's a lot of gluten-free demand. Gluten-free flours. People on either by choice on a gluten-free diet or for
Health reasons,
dietary health
yeah.
reasons. I see a lot of different kinds of flours. What are some of the flours that you carry?
Yeah, across, I can't see it right now on the camera, but opposite to the lentils is our flour section, and it's equally as big as the lentil section. Anything you can think of. So all the lentils are actually in flour form as well.
Right.
So, like we mentioned earlier, chickpeas.
The chickpeas.
So we have chickpea flour, right?
Right.
And then you think of any of the main Indian lentils, which, for example, ma or urd, which is our black lentil, which if you go to a...
The gram, no, gram is chickpea, is it?
gram is chickpea. So urd is the black lentil. So if you go to
right.
Indian restaurant, it's dal makhani.
Right.
Yeah. So we have that in flour form.
And I see different kinds of rice flour.
Oh yeah, we have rice flour. We have... oh man, so many different types. Soybean flour, and
right.
then there's, barley, and...
So for the customer, if all you're looking for is a variety of flours to choose from that you want to maybe try out, just for that reason, it's worthwhile visiting an Indian supermarket to
100%, yeah.
look at the different varieties of flours.
Yeah, 100%.
It's great to experiment with.
Yeah, my mom actually experiments quite a bit. She wants to stay away from the wheat, so she makes her own blend of...
gluten-free flour?
Sure.
Yeah. I actually myself, I am gluten intolerant, so I don't use any wheat or wheat products.
Right.
But I can digest spelt.
Yes.
Spelt flour. So I use
barley,
organic spelt flour and barley.
Yeah. So she mixes up 6 or 7 different types of flours we have, and then makes those at home. And
right.
She's always experimenting. We also have a bunch of organic stuff that just launched.
That's nice to know.
Yeah, it's actually right behind us. So we have, for example, we have this, which is like a shield product. It's also from India, but it's completely organic. It's completely FDA approved.
Okay, so the certification is very rigorous in Canada for organic products. Is it as rigorous in India?
This is FDA, so it's actually done by the states.
Okay.
And it's worldwide.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a worldwide recognition, and the factory's still in India, but they get inspected by U.S. officials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. So that kind of more or less covers what we wanted to talk about. And now I think what we'll do is just go through the layout of your store.
For sure, yeah.
And then we're going to actually shop for all the ingredients that we need in our course.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Take care. Yeah, have a good shopping experience.
Thank you.